Hi friends, hope everybody is doing great. So I have a question for you, and I'm sure that the answer is on the tip of your tongue. And the question is, what is the 1064th most famous song in history? Although number one is Happy Birthday to Me. So do you know? Okay, so the answer is Yesterday by the Beatles. Yesterday, how my troubles seemed so far away. So that being said, today I want to talk about being stuck between a rock and a hard place. Yesterday, how my troubles seemed so far away. In this week's parasha, Bishalach, we are reading about the Jews who were liberated from Egypt. They now stand before a sea, an army behind them, wild animals to the left or the right of them, and they can't escape. So what do? These are Jews who just saw 10 plagues being hit upon Egypt. Do they pray to God, give Egypt another plague? We don't read that they say that. They say to Moses, "Were there no graves in Egypt that you brought us here to die?" In Egypt, at least we had bread, we had meat. All of a sudden, Egypt is so great, you should put it in a travel brochure. Let's go to Egypt. Well, today it is. But after what they went through, we read a few parashas ago that they suffered so much that their sighs and their cries reached heaven, that God heard the plight of their heart, their suffering. And that's when he brought in Moses to help, deliver the people. Those same Jews who cried and were broken and were devastated, they want to go back to Egypt. Why? Because a new challenge surfaced in life. A new challenge surfaced, and they just didn't know what to do with it. So yesterday is the comfort zone. Yesterday, my problems seemed so far away. We fall into these comfort zones of yesterday. We all do it. But that is not where the answers are for any of us in our lives. And the Torah makes that a very solid teaching, because the Torah tells us, "You shall not go that way again." And Moses tells the Jewish people, the faces of the Egyptians that you see today, you shall see them no more. So look upon those faces. Look at yesterday, but see it for what it was. You glamorized Egypt. These are Egyptians that are coming after you now with the full force of their army and with their chariots and their weapons, and they are here to kill you. That's the Egypt that you're glamorizing? The Egypt that killed your firstborns? The Pharaoh that bathed in the blood of your children? That's the Egypt you want to go back to? Okay, I get it. That abusive relationship wasn't for me. That marriage wasn't for me. That terrible boss wasn't for me. Those friends weren't for me. All those things that I was dying to get away from, but now I have nothing in its stead. Okay, it's not for me, but what do I do? What do I do now? Because I'm lost, I'm here, I'm in no man's land. I don't know where to go from here. And things aren't budging. I'm trying to move forward and things aren't budging. And this reminds me of a story I heard, and it's a story, it's not a midrash, it's just a story from Rabbi Zachariah Wallerstein. He tried to do an event and it was failing badly. He was about to give up on the event. He bumped into a rabbi, asked his advice, and the rabbi gave him this story. There was a man who lived in Poland on a farm. One day he gets out of his house, ready to go to work, to do his work on the farm. And he hears the voice of God. And God says, "You see that big, huge, heavy boulder in your garden, in your field, whatever? I want you to push it today for 15 minutes. The guy's in shock. He leaves his house. God is talking to him. What's he going to do? Nothing. He's not going to the plow. He's going to the boulder. And he's pushing the boulder for 15 minutes. Except the boulder doesn't budge, not even by a hair's measure. Nothing. It doesn't move. But he pushed it for 15 minutes. Happy? He did. God spoke to him. He did what God wanted. How much happier can you be? The next day, he comes out of his house. God says to him, I want you to push that boulder for 15 minutes. Again, overjoyed, pushes the boulder, pushing with all his strength, 15 minutes, nothing budges. Day 3, day 4, a year later, same story every single day. Push, 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 not budging. One day he comes out, and just as he's about to, even before he hears God's voice, he's already programmed, just as he's about to go push the boulder, the devil, the Satan, comes to him and says, "You are such a fool. You have no idea how much fun they're making of you in heaven. It's been 1 year you're pushing a boulder, and it went nowhere, going nowhere. They are making so much fun of you. You're the joke in heaven." And he's so upset and he's so hurt because every day he's so proud of himself. I'm listening to God, I'm serving God, I'm pushing the boulder, I'm doing exactly what I'm told to do. And he's devastated. Anyways, next day comes, he goes out of his house. God says to him, "Go push the boulder for 15 minutes. He says, "I'm not pushing the boulder. I spoke with the devil yesterday, with Satan yesterday, and he told me that you're all making fun of me in heaven, that I'm pushing the boulder and it's not moving and you're all laughing at me and I'm not doing it anymore." And God says to him, "I never told you to move the boulder. I told you to push the boulder. In heaven, we all look upon you as the best boulder pusher that ever existed." Really? Really? He's like so proud of himself. He has esteem and glory in heaven. He goes and he's pushing and pushing. Again, nothing is moving. So the devil comes to him. Satan. We don't say devil. I just, I'm steeped in secular culture. But in Judaism, we say Satan. So Satan comes to him at the end of that day. And he says to him, "Don't you know that they're making fun of you? I told you. Why did you do it again?" He says, "I spoke to God and God told me that I am the best boulder pusher that ever existed and he's proud of me." So the devil says, "They are making such a fool out of you. You don't even know how much they're laughing at you." Anyways, he's frustrated. He decides he's going into town. He's going to have a drink and, lament all his plight and drink away the sorrows. And as he's going to town, he sees a woman whose cart broke down and she's screaming and she's crying and her husband is under the cart. And she says, please help me, run to town, get 5 men, I need help, please." And he says, "If I go now to town, come back and try and get 5 men and this and that, your husband's going to die for sure. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to lift the cart, and when I do, you pull your husband out." She says, "You don't understand. The reason the cart broke is because we have 1,000 tons of cement in the cart. My husband tried to change the tire that broke, and that's how he got crushed underneath." So he says, "Just listen to me. I will lift it, I will try, and you pull out your husband." Sure enough, he lifts the cart, she pulls out her husband, and she saves him. And she's in shock. She says, "Oh my God, what are you? Are you like an angel? How were you able to lift a cart that has 1,000 tons of cement?" And he says, "No, I am not an angel. I am not a god. I am nothing but a man who tried to push a boulder for 1 year that did not move. By pushing that boulder for 1 year, he built his strength, his muscles, his capability. He built who he was to step into a story that needed him." How many of us in life now are stuck between a rock and a hard place? We can't go back to Egypt. We know it wasn't for us. We know it will only bring us heartache if we go back into that relationship. And so we're pushing and it's not going and it's not moving. And we feel like we're trying so hard and our lives are going nowhere. Know that Hashem is with you. As he tells us in this week's parasha, Hashem will fight your battles. He will fight your battles. Just keep pushing the boulder. The results are not in our hands. The efforts, the initiative are in our hands. There's another story, similar, again, a stone and a hard place, a rock and a hard place. A story about Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa. He lived during the Second Temple, and this is a real story written in our teachings. Everyone was going to the Beit HaMikdash to give a gift to God. And he was so poor and he had nothing to give. And he found a beautiful stone. And he was by trade a stone cutter. And he thought that this stone is so unusual, and the coloring, whatever it was, if he would go and shape it and carve it, that he would bring that stone to Jerusalem. So he went home, he got his tools, he got what he needed. He started carving the stone. He made it so beautiful, except when the time came to lift the stone and bring it to Jerusalem, he couldn't do it. The stone was a huge stone, it was too heavy. So all he had was 5 gold coins. Poor man. He tried to offer that to a few people. It wasn't enough for them. Sure enough, he met 5 men, and he asked them, please help me bring this stone to Jerusalem. And they said, okay, we'll take your 5 coins, we'll bring it to Jerusalem, but you have to help us. You have to put your hands on the stone. The deal was made. He put his hands on the stone, and by miracle, they all ended up in Jerusalem. When the time came to pay, there was no one to pay. The 5 men disappeared. He went to consult with other rabbis, and they told him these were not men. These were angels. Sometimes in life, we can push the stone, and it will not move. It will make us stronger. Sometimes a stone that seems so impossible to move, if we have our faith, we just put our hands on the stone, and it will move. But it's all in God's hands, and we have to remember the words in Isaiah. Because we try and understand God. We say, I tried my best, it didn't work. Or whatever it is, we try and rationalize. And fine, we're humans, we have a brain, we try. But we have to know what it says in Isaiah when God says, my thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are not your ways. Things will happen in life that we don't understand. There will be a sea in front of us, and there will be Egyptians behind us, and we just don't know which way to go. Yesterday is not an option. Have faith in tomorrow. Have faith in Hashem. Throw your burdens to Him. Never mind the stones that are behind you and before you, the stones that are on your heart, the heaviness that's on your heart. Have faith in Hashem that everything that is happening to us and to you is for our own good. It's to make us stronger. We push the boulder and we become who we were meant to be. Winston Churchill had a brilliant expression. If we open a quarrel between the past and the present, we will lose tomorrow. Don't dwell upon the past, and don't lament the situation that you're in now. Look only to tomorrow. Have faith in tomorrow. Have faith in Hashem, and you will see miracles and seas part before you. But the road back to Egypt, that road you shall travel no more. Shabbat Shalom.